Putting in more work on the 240 today. This time around we are cutting up exhaust pieces. The previous owner had the exhaust ran up and across the car, and it always like bounced on the cross member and the hanger always broke. So what I did is cut out a section here, and I'm going to be welding that part into that part over there, making the exhaust dump out here on the driver's side as it should. I cut out this little piece to mimic the stock bumper and the stock area, so I can have a pipe coming all the way out of the back instead of dumping underneath my car and hitting everything. Also, my glow shift sending unit for our water temperature gauge showed up, so I might end up getting a lot of you know, beat for this, but I'm gonna do it anyways because it's something that I've always liked. We're gonna go drift pipe on it. I've got everything mocked up kind of how I want it. I regret cutting that a little too much. I probably could have saved it, so maybe I'll just drift stitch it in there or something stupid. I don't know. I'm a little butthurt, but it'll do. It's a missile. I'm about to weld this up, and then I'm going to hang it, and we'll see how it looks. Alright guys, we're welded up here. There was a little bit of a gap there, and then I accidentally burned a hole through, so I had to just clean that up. There's the other welds, and all the way around her. So, just gotta hang her up, and voila, we have a drift pipe, a rice pipe. My glow shift adapter for my radiator hose came in. I'm gonna get that installed along with the new water temperature gauge because the auto meter is sticking. And yesterday I went to my buddy Michael's house and picked up a new hood for the car. I also got some valve covers for the CA. They were cheap and laying around, so I said why not just pick them up in case I ever need a set or want to clean up the ones that I have now. I've got the car up on jack stands because I'm doing a little overview, but first I'm going to throw in the footage at Michael's house, me getting the hood and just showing you around his 240 graveyard. So check that out. Stopping off at my buddy Michael's house. It is the graveyard of all drift cars. If you guys want to look around really quick, you can see all of these cars that he's just got. Some of them he's fixing, some of them he's parting out, some of them he's using for roll cages. And I came up here to pick up a hood so I can get rid of my raggedy hood, or at least do it right. And I picked up some valve covers, and also I got reservoir from a donor 180. It was kind of sad to see the 180 chopped up. So I'm just going to show you guys around of all the 240 parts and drift car parts. If you guys need anything, I can probably get you the information so you can grab some parts from Michael. He's got everything laying around. He gets tagged in all of the 240 pages for KAs a lot. People are always looking for those. There's a roof of a coupe. I'm gonna show you guys. There's an S13 just sitting there, the full shell with a cage in it. This is where I got my reservoir donated from, but it's a chopped up 180, and it's for sale if anybody's looking to do a right-hand drive conversion. The dashboard is just about immaculate, right? Didn't you say there was like one little thing or something? Yeah, there's a DC2 and Integra front clip sitting on top, and it scratched there, but
Other than that,
yeah, digital climate control with all the little sensors.
it's gonna be a little difficult to see because
the original Japanese radio.
that's pretty sick.
Just need to make room.
Yeah, if you guys are interested, he's got a ton of parts, so just comment below and I can get up with him or possibly get his information for you guys, and you can grab yourself some parts because they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's a glass. If you can find the other one, we're going to put glass back in my car. Anyways, we're going to be going over the car a little bit. She has a little bit of an oil leak, and I'm thinking that it's the oil pan and the front main. I don't know if I'm going to be able to replace those anytime soon. I might just, you know, keep adding oil in it and letting it ride just until I have an excuse to pull it out, like when I need to do my transmission, because my second gear synchro is taking a crap on me just because I beat on it so much in the past couple weeks. It's getting worse and worse, and I've added a little bit of fluid. And I also have a water pump that I picked up. This was on order and it finally came in. Hopefully it's the right one. It looks to be the right one. Just a little guy. So we're gonna do that, install this, and I might throw the new hood on because it's supposed to rain, and I'm not really too worried about the hood pins. I might just drill little holes in it. I don't really want to, but I don't know. I have to cover this thing up with a tarp. It's a pain in the neck. I'll figure it out. But it's supposed to rain tonight, so I need to do something just in case. Alrighty guys, so one crappy thing about the CA that I just now learned. Here's the water pump. I got the pulley off, and in order to get to the water pump you have to take off the timing belt cover. And they say, I guess maybe I should have done a little more research before jumping right into this. I was assuming by looking at it that it was a pretty simple swap. They said to do a timing belt while you're doing the water pump. So I just might save up a couple bucks so I can do a timing belt, but at that point I'd really like just to freshen up the motor if I'm going to be digging all into it. I've got everything wired up for the glow shift gauge. I've just got to ground it out. I've got the new ground over there, and I cleaned up this area so I can have a good ground, and then I got to move into the cab and do the temperature gauge. I was going to do the water pump because you know, I was just going to freshen it up. Might as well I freshen it up while I did the gauge, but that's not the case. So I'm going to have to put everything back together, and I feel kind of dumb now because it just took 5 minutes online of doing some research to find that out. So, stupid Travis. Let's put this thing back together. Well, I'm a little butthurt about my water pump, but I guess I'm going to get to installing my new water temperature gauge. I also fixed my exhaust while I was under here. I actually just hung it up higher than what it was, and then I installed a new hanger. Painted it all silver because fresh welds and I don't want anything to rust, but it came out pretty good. It's tucked up as high as it'll go. It's still removable. There's a nut welded up there to the chassis that I can just well, actually there's a bolt welded, and then there's a nut on there so I can just slide it off and the exhaust will come free. And I also put a secondary hanger right here just because I was tired of my exhaust hitting everything and rattling, and I flipped it up because I think that looks a little different and cool, and I don't know, ricer. But besides that, I've got everything mounted in here. I painted this guy to match everything else. I grounded the new sensor right here. Everything's all installed, so we're going to move on to the cab, get this gauge in, and hope that we don't have any issues with this water temperature, because I've said it 100 times, that one keeps sticking, and I need to know an accurate temperature. So let's do this. Glow Shift provides some pretty simple instructions. I've got majority of everything wired up. What I'm going to do is just tap into the wiring harness for the glow shift gauge, obviously for the sending unit, for the ground, and the power. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I don't want to bore you guys too much. This stuff's pretty redundant, but let me get to installing this. Alrighty, my water temperature gauge is hooked up. I'm letting it warm up without the fan, and it looks like it's working. Pretty simple install. I'll turn on the fan and let her warm up and see what she does. Finally not making that awful noise from my exhaust rattling. It's nice and quiet down there. It's good to see my gauge isn't sticking, moving all over the place. But we have a functional gauge, functional oil pressure, tachometer. Next is to figure out what's up with this voltmeter. This boost gauge is functional, just the light doesn't work because it fell out of it. And I want to get this volt gauge working, and we should be in pretty prime condition. I need an AFR gauge, even though I know I'm running really, really rich, but that's a CA thing. So let me get to figuring out what I'm going to do to fight this storm. That's about all I have for you guys today. It was a pretty simple day. I'm a little bummed about that water pump. That was kind of common sense to maybe check the forms or do a little research before I went installing it, but I got a new water temperature gauge. That's working out great. Seems to be working just fine. What else did I do? Cleaned up the exhaust. The exhaust looks much better. It doesn't scrape on everything, doesn't hit everything, and it's hanging up as close as I possibly can to the chassis. I have one more thing before I end the video. I bought a little gift for myself from LZBMX, or LZ Manufacturing. I got another lanyard. Whoa. Whoa. This is pretty sick. That's sick.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope.
Signed somewhere.
Nice.
Thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But other than that, guys, that is a wrap for my video. I don't have anything else special for you. Just a lot of LZ stuff and more 240 stuff. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next video. Deuces.